now that those absentee ballot cases have gone against the vice president, his only real chance depends on what happens here at the U.S. Supreme Court.
All that mattered 13 years ago today, the Supreme Court's landmark decision in Bush versus Gore. The ruling made George W. Bush the president-elect, ending 5 weeks of uncertainty following Election Day 2000. The High Court overturned the Florida Supreme Court's order to continue recounting the ballots. The justices ruled by a 5-4 margin that the recount in Florida was unconstitutional. The following day, Vice President Al Gore conceded. And in January, George W. Bush was sworn in as the 43rd President of the United States.
Declaring victory, even though the vice president said they still needed to wait and let the votes be counted.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
We now have Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard with us. Welcome. Great to have you with Fox News at Night again. Okay, so I got to tell you that the Google search tonight showing that you are, once again, one of the most searched, if not one of the biggest names searched tonight. I know that you had some problems that you are contesting. Google did not treat you fairly after the last debate.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Look, in the first debate, I was on the first night, and I was the most searched candidate of that event. Unfortunately, Google chose to arbitrarily block our Google Ads account for several hours at the time that was most critical for our campaign. I'm suing Google for taking that action. They've provided no valid explanation for why that was done. There was no wrongdoing or problem on our part, not because of me, but because of this monopoly, this power that these big tech monopolies have to simply shut out people arbitrarily. This is a threat to our freedom of speech.
The Conservative government is selling its fair election bill as a way to cut down on voter fraud, but opponents are not buying it. They believe the act will undermine democracy and Canada's reputation if it becomes law. But as Vashi Kapelos reports, the government is showing no signs it's willing to compromise.
You might not recognize these names, but they belong to the top elections experts in the world. And in a letter to the Globe and Mail, those experts say the government's proposed Fair Elections Act isn't good for democracy. The bill was introduced last month. If passed, it will limit what Elections Canada can do and say. The organization will no longer be able to talk about why people should vote, just how and where.
Members of the UN Security Council put on a united front in their call for Mali to hold free and fair elections in February 2022. France's ambassador, Nicolas de Rivière, said that the election was an absolute priority, and the US representative called for these elections to be impartial and transparent. That call was reiterated by Mexico, Norway, Ireland and Niger.
The Elections Department plays a critical role in nation building. We are the custodians of the elections process, and it's so important to upholding the integrity of the democratic process in Singapore. And it's so important in maintaining trust and confidence in the system of governance and also in the government.
Well, I believe we have one of the most robust electoral systems in the world. Polling work may seem very mundane to everyone, but it's a critical part of our national democracy. It's thanks to the thousands of civil servants who've ensured that this is done properly,
It would be easy to think the elections department only kicks into high gear around election time. The truth is, the work continues for the officers in between when elections are called. This is to ensure operational readiness for an election at all times.
Last time, before 2006, we used to do this, just-in-time concept, where nearer election, we start preparing, for the election. But since then, we have moved from a just-in-time to all-the-time process.
China has established a system of meritocracy, or what can be described as selection plus election. Competent leaders are selected on the basis of performance and broad support through a vigorous process of screening, opinion surveys, internal evaluations, and various types of elections. This is much in line with the Confucian tradition of meritocracy. After all, China is the first country that invented the civil service examination system, or the Keju system.